I literally got this notification to my phone and ended up like chuckling a little bit because this story is going to be more so about Roy Moore's wife, Kayla Moore, more so than about Roy Moore. As we all know, that time is winding down with this election, but not before she could slip in one little last gesture that I'm guessing she hopes wins over a certain group of people, mainly us, and another group of people being Jews. So this is coming from the New York Times. I'm going to read this title to you. It says, Roy Moore's wife says some of the couple's friends are black or Jewish. How many times have we heard racist white people use that that phrase? Oh, we have black friends. There's no possible way that we could ever be racist. I want to know what they would say, or if black people were not friends with white people. I wonder what they would ever say. They think that just because they are in close quarters with black people, or they shook a couple of black hands, kissed a couple of black babies, or probably slept with a couple of black people, that rids them of their racist ways. It does not. Only white people believe that shit. It seems that only white people, for the most part, believe we live in a post-racial society because, believe it or not, they've been under a spell of a lullaby for so long to actually believe that we are far removed from Jim Crow. Granted, we're not in Jim Crow anymore, but shoot, with the way things are going right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we ever go back there. Now I'm going to go ahead and read this article. This is my first time reading it. Like, I literally just opened this up. It says, when the Republican, or should I call them Rethuglican, Senate candidate Roy S. Moore held his final rally here late Monday, it was his wife Kayla Moore who grabbed the headlines with the proclamation that some of the couple's friends and closest allies are black or Jewish. Ms. Moore introduced her husband, the former Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court, with an impassioned defense of a man who has been accused of sexual misconduct against teenage girls and holds views that critics have called bigoted, sexist, and discriminatory. Fake News says he doesn't like women in leadership positions, yet he supports me as the president of the Foundation for Moral Law that he started 15 years ago today. So happy birthday, Foundation for Moral Law, she began. She continued with a testimonial of Mr. Moore's affection for African Americans. I wonder what those affections imply, if you know what I mean. When he first took office as Chief Justice many years ago, he brought with him 3 people from Etowah County. 2 were black and one of them is here tonight. We have many friends that are black and we also have fellowship with them in church in our home. See, they're doing, they're doing this to get some kind of support. See, they know that the black vote is a very powerful one, yet the black vote is the most suppressed one of them all. It's amazing how when you look back at history, how they didn't want black people to vote and whatnot, that over time they realized they needed us for something. They always use us and then discard us like a filthy tampon. Unfortunately, many of us have not gotten the memo. And she told the crowd that Moore had nothing against Jews. I just want to set the record straight. One of our attorneys is a Jew. Let me keep going. We have a very close friends that are Jewish and rabbis, and we also fellowship with them. I'm trying to figure out. So that means that, okay, she's saying this because they've been accused of most likely being racist and being anti-Semitic. Which they probably are both. The comments came at the close of a brutal special election campaign for the Senate seat vacated by attorney Jeff Sessions. The campaign was marked by controversy not only over allegations that Mr. Moore had sexually assaulted or molested teenage girls while he was in his 30s, but also that he had shown insensitivity to blacks and Jews. When a black voter asked Mr. Moore when he thought America was last great, his answer was the time of slavery. I think it was great at the time when families were united. Even though we had slavery, they cared for one another, he said. Our families were strong, our country had direction. He also suggested that George Soros, the Jewish financier and supporter of liberal causes, is heading for hell. On a radio program this month, Mr. Moore said that Mr. Soros is pushing an agenda, and his agenda is sexual in nature. His agenda is liberal and not what Americans need. No matter how much money he's got, he's still going to the same place that people who don't recognize God and morality and accept his salvation are going, he concluded, and that's not a good place. I remember when he made that slavery comment. So that's why she came out and said what she said. She had to play damage control. White people like these two are very manipulative and they're very sneaky, but if you can get inside of their head, which for some of them it doesn't take much, you can figure out what their end game is. They only do that whole, oh, we have black friends and we have Jewish friends. Save it. I'm not buying that shit and you shouldn't either.